Welcome to the Kind of Intentional podcast. Life gets full fast, and it's easy to drift from the life you actually want to build. Each episode, we take one real-life topic, share honest stories, and pull out practical ideas you can actually use. Short, focused, and intentional, because your time matters, and so does the life you're building. Welcome to episode 4, The Systems You've Been Avoiding. I am Danielle Andrew here with my co-host, Tom Licalzi.
What up?
We are super excited to share some snippets with you today about why people resist structure.
No, not structure.
No, never.
Structure
I would
sounds
never
horrible.
do that.
Man.
Give you some real life examples and some simple system examples that you can use so that you can identify what you're avoiding is probably the unlock.
Deep thoughts. Right off the beginning. We're just hitting them hard.
You know, we only have like 10 to 12 minutes, so we gotta get it in there real quick.
Why do we only record these for 10 to 12 minutes?
Well, because I think traditionally that's just probably the attention span that people have. And to be honest, if you listen to our episode 2, it was episode 2. I'm too busy. We just make excuses for, I'm too busy. In 10 minutes, we all have a 10 to 12 minute drive that we're doing throughout the day.
Do it during the dishes.
Or do it while you're unloading the dishwasher.
Yeah, cleaning up after the kids when they didn't put their toys away like they were supposed to 15,000 times ago. So, no, that's great. We're going to drop a new episode every Tuesday morning because Tuesdays are the best day of the week, according to Danielle. She loves Tuesdays. So, let's get into the episode. Why do you think people resist structure, Danielle?
I think there's a lot of reasons, but one of them is probably because structure feels like you're being put in a box, feels like you're restricted, maybe makes you feel like you don't have freedom to choose things. I think I am guilty of feeling that way. I don't want, my freedom to feel like it's being, put in a box, or I don't want to be under this pressure of this restriction, or I have to do this way. Maybe I don't want my day scheduled. And I think a lot of times too, structure can come from just a negative experience that you've had alongside of structure. I'm
thinking like restriction dieting and restrictions from screen time, restrictions and like trying to create this structure and preventing yourself. And really that mindset shift that we're talking about, that transformation spark, is that like structure doesn't have to be restriction. That, freedom doesn't come from not having any structure, that there's actually more freedom that can come from having a little bit of structure, right? So you're definitely touching on some like bad experiences associated with it, where we're kind of making structure sound like it's restrictive versus it being more like a framework where it enables flexibility. It doesn't eliminate it just enables more flexibility. How do you think structure could help create more flexibility?
Let's think of an example.
Yeah.
Okay.
Something that we've used before.
I just love to shop.
No. She can't even make eye contact right now.
I am avoiding eye contact because I love to shop, and I do not have a hard time spending money. That is how I've always been. My husband is the exact opposite. He wants a budget for things. And so, as you know, that creates, like a Judge Judy courtroom conversation.
Marriage counseling is episode 5.
Every time you talk about a budget. But in all reality, right, a budget is structure, and we don't have to view a budget as a fun sponge that it feels like, but a budget, isn't going to stop fun, but it is going to create room for you to have fun guilt-free. And so I think, it's all about how you look at things. We can very easily look at things and look at structure as restriction and look at structure as what I can't do. But I think, it's all about reframing your mind and just looking at what is structure going to allow me to do that I can't do right now.
Yeah, this is such a great way to kind of think through it. Like, and I love the word. Structure can sound such a like a rigid, fixed point instead of like this idea or concept of framework. Sometimes with some of the people that we talk about process, and sometimes people are like, oh, if we always follow a process, it eliminates creativity. Like everybody's just going to follow the steps without thinking about them, and they're not going to have any kind of creativity in that. And so sometimes we'll use the word guardrails instead of process to kind of help people go down the road and stay on the right path. But the same thing, like replacing the word structure with this idea of framework. A framework gives you like a little bit of a guidance on your day, gives you a little bit of a guidance as to where you're going to. And so that way you don't get off track. I love the example of thinking through like grapes and how grapes grow, and just did a Bible study associated with this where we were talking about how grapes are grafted to a stem in this lattice work and this structure to kind of hold the branches up off the ground. And if it wasn't for this framework that the grapes are grown on, the grapes would actually just hang down on the ground, and the grapes would be susceptible to bugs or to insects that eat them or any kind of mold from the ground. But it's really this framework that's holding the grapes off the ground and allowing it to produce more fruit. And so in this case, it's kind of thinking through that in our lives. And I know it's hard to think about like, okay, what would a framework look like for my own life that would help me to produce more, to do the things that really matter to me? Like, what would it be like to be kind of intentional with my day and how I structure my hours, so that way I get more done and I have more follow through. And so let's talk about some real specific examples. Danielle, do you have any frameworks that you personally like to use?
One of the best things that I ever bought for my house was the skylight calendar. It just is great for lots of reasons, but it just got us, our family, all on the same page. It's a house for everything. And I think, we say this with our clients a lot, but storing things all in one place is ultimately a key to success, because we spend so many times looking in all these different places for things, and then we get frustrated, and then we stop looking because we're frustrated, and we move on from something, and we never solve the problem that we were trying to solve. And so this just allowed my family to just be on the same page with chores and tasks and accountability and color coding for our calendar. And so, what we're having for meals. And so just having, it doesn't have to be that. It can be whatever system works for you, but just having something that, everyone is bought into, because one of the things that I think can be a big struggle is that, there's not buy-in from all members of your family, or, your family's too busy, or you have too many people in your family. It's hard to get everybody on the same page. But the truth is, whatever system it is, keeping everything, as closely in one place as you can just allows for you to have, a quick view of everything that's going on.
Yeah. So calendar is a great example of framework. It's giving you those days and like, here's the hours that you need to be at the sporting event, so there's a great framework associated with that, because it's really structuring the macro aspects of your life. I'm taking this person to this location or this person to this location. The same thing applies in work, at your office and your day, everybody has an Outlook or a Google Calendar that's filled with just lots of times in there. It's all that structure that's happening to be like, I need to be in this meeting at this time, whether that's down in the conference room down the hall, or it's on a Zoom or Teams or whatever the case may be. We all have that structure. One of the things that I absolutely love for my own framework is using the reminders feature on my iPhone. And so every single day I have 14 recurring reminders on my iPhone. I know that sounds straight up crazy, and maybe it is for a lot of people.
It sounds terrible.
I know, but in that example of my own thing is I found specific triggers, times that I really like to have the things happen. And so I know that seems a lot of crazy to a lot of people, but that gives me so much more opportunity to say, hey, I'm going to prioritize my time. I'm going to tell myself what my priorities are. I'm going to pre-decide so I don't have decision fatigue and when I'm going to slide things in. And my day has structure already built in from the device that I carry around all the time anyway. And it's giving me that reminder like, hey, did you do this activity by this time? And And that gives me a little bit of the reassuring. It gives me that accountability to mark those things complete. And it's built right into my phone. There's no additional apps cost or anything like that. It just takes a little bit of time to think down and say, okay, what time would work best for this? And to just do some trial and error as to saying like, okay, this is when I'm going to be at my best. This is when I'm going to have my most energy, my most ability to focus. And that's when I'm going to do my activity. And so it took me about 1.5 years of just toying with. And so fortunately, we have some ways to provide that to people so they don't have to invest 1.5 years to figure those things out. But that little bit of a simple structure provides so much of a framework to the day that it allows you to truly focus on what matters most and to get those things taken care of so you're in control of your day versus feeling like you're being reactive to your day. So the mindset shift here really is that structure is not a negative thing. To transform that word into the word, framework. So that framework that you provide to yourself is going to help you to say, okay, now we have our calendar on the wall. We're all on the same page. We know who's going to be doing what. That structure is going to help us to say, hey, this is what truly matters. This is how we need to get to those activities and get these things done. And so when we change the way that we think about it, then we can start to change those behaviors where we all know that we got to go to the calendar, to the star, to the skylight and look at it.
Right.
I know. It's just
Words are hard.
Words are hard. It's the letters that are hard, not the words. So we all know to go look at that skylight and make sure.
We're not going to get sponsored if you say it like that.
Well, they just need to do a better job of sending me one so that way I can use it.
Oh.
Yeah, see how that.
There you go.
That's a little intentional.
It's because you're too cheap to buy it.
I'm kind of intentional with my words. So with that behavior shift of going to that device to look at it and to inspect the calendar or to go to your phone and have those recurring reminders there, those kind of behavior shifts using a system as well that's built into them are going to create that unlock for you and really eliminate some of that stress and that anxiety that we have over our time. So again, the things that we're probably avoiding are probably the things that are going to give us the greatest impact and unlock in our lives.
Yeah. I think one last thing real quick is just, your identity doesn't have to be associated with your structure. Because I know there's a lot of people, not me, there's a lot of people that, pride themselves on, like, I just go with the flow, or, I'm always last minute, but it works out. This doesn't have to be something that traps you, right? I think it's all about how you view things, and it's just going to be able to support what matters so that your energy can go towards bigger things.
Yeah. So, well, this has been another episode of the Kind of Intentional podcast. We hope that you're enjoying it. We'd love it if you would just rate us and also hit that subscribe button. We're going to continue to release these episodes every Tuesday morning for your listening enjoyment. Hope you have a great week.
See ya.